Funny story, we had Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman always late to practice, always late. And this is when Kurt Ramsey took over. So we used to practice at this little junior college, and someone stole Rodman's shoes. This is the first time Rodman ever made the practice on time, but he had no shoes because someone stole them. And he walked in there, like we talk about having a bad day. Kurt Ramsey had a bad day. He says, "I'm sick of your get the fuck out." And Rodman like looking around, who's he talking to? "You always fucking late." Rodman like, "I've been here." Get the fuck out. And so he threw Rodman off the team, and that's when Rodman kind of started spiraling, couldn't make another team after that. So
drove the man crazy because he showed up to practice on time and they didn't even think he was at practice.
Yeah.
Welcome to season 2 of Iman Amongst Men, the show that takes an honest look at what it is to be a man in today's world.
We don't shy away from topics most people are too afraid to talk about. We're going to take it all the way there.
It's season 2, y'all. Let's get it. This show is brought to you by Cash App. Get your paycheck up to 2 days early when you deposit it into your Cash App account.
You could do a lot in 2 days while other people are waiting on their money. You could be using the Cash App to do all types of exciting things. What are you going to do with your money since you don't have to wait 2 days to get it?
Well, I'm a generous guy, so I might buy my daughter some new outfits. Maybe some comic books for my nerdy older brother who loves to read them. Mm-hmm. So how about you, Ahrii? What you gonna do now that you ain't gotta wait for your money 2 days?
I don't know. I got a couple things I gotta do. I gotta get an oil change. Probably go out to a nice little dinner, candlelight dinner, alone for myself. It's like a reward.
A Denny.
When you set up direct deposit on Cash App and get paid up to 2 full days early, you can live in the future. Why wait until Friday when you can get paid on Wednesday?
That's money, and that's Cash App. So download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store and set up direct deposit today. Welcome to Iman Amongst Men, powered by Cash App. I'm Iman Shumpert here with my big brother, Ahrii. Ahrii, go and give it what's up to the people.
What's going on, people? Today we got another special guest who really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. 7-time NBA champion, big shot Bob himself, Robert Horry. Welcome to the show.
Bring it on.
You're lucky. I was going to start naming teams.
Y'all make me feel special, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, no. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, the original stretch. Come on, man.
No, it's so weird. I just saw the other day when Spreewell, he sent out, I said, "Oh, the original small." Whoa, Spree, come on now, man. Don't even do your boy like that. It started with us in H-Town, man. He said, because when he was in Golden State and then he went to, Minnesota, he's like, we were the originators of small ball. Like, dude, I won a championship in small ball before you even thought about it. Man. Come on.
Yeah, right. No,
that's a vicious system to run, but people got to be able to defend.
Yeah.
That's a tough little system to run.
But how do you do? That's the thing.
Small ball with a stretch that's not really, but he could just guard centers is crazy. Like, that's madness.
Yeah. Was that work for you? Like, or was that something you had to adjust to?
A center can't guard this.
I had to put on 15 pounds of muscle, and in the summertime all I did was stay in the gym lifting weights because it became a thing. We're like, oh, we need you to play power forward. I'm like, dude, I'm a small forward. Think about it. You got one night you got Charles Barkley, and one night you got Charles Oakley. Then one night you got, grandmama. Right, everybody's all different. Then, one of the guys I hated guarding, you have Rasheed Wallace, just a big stretch. And it was a tough position, man, back then.
Real tough position.
Damn, and you was like, dog, just put me back at the tray. Let me do my thing that I do.
Exactly. Let me post up one of the smaller guys or chase one of these guys out. But it was, the game of basketball it's changed so much. Yeah. I think about when I came in the league where refs were actually telling me, oh, you got to get stronger, young fella. And then now you look at the way the guys are set up now, they all like thin and just run and shoot. Yeah. I'm like, that was me.
Real tall.
Do you feel like, because I feel like a lot of the bigger players, especially the ones who ended up having to put on weight to, sustain their career, do you feel like a little jealous, like because of the way the game's turn?
You know what? I'm proud of the way the game's turned because you think about growing up, this is how we played it. And, there was no brutes on the playground. We were just shifty, getting to the rack, dunking on people, jamming people up. And now it's the way the game is. Back then it was just like, okay, you think about the Knicks team we beat in the finals in '94. You got Charles Smith, Charles Oakley, those powers, and of course Patrick Ewing, and those guys were just some beasts in there, man. And they was all about rebounds, beat you up, wear you down, and then next thing you throw, they win in the game. But now the game is all about finesse. And I think about the way Kevin Durant plays the game, man. It's just beautiful basketball.
They play in space.
Yeah, it's just beautiful basketball.
I'll never forget when they started doing the, they basically was teaching us why they kept backing. I'm like, bro, I'm not backing up to the half court line, but I noticed that they back up and then they come downhill at you. Like, it's like changing. Like when they start realizing that step back, it no longer mattered how many weights you lift.
Yes.
It's like, you get up too far on me, I step back as you come up, and now it doesn't matter how strong you are. Like, and they created that, and then everybody started being like you, where it's like, I don't care that I'm 7 feet, I can shoot. Like, that's when the game started evolving into something different. Like right now, it's if you can figure out that formula of passing the ball and then running around all them screens, you can get people to actually screen. It's just, do you have the skill and do they have the system? Because that's what a lot of people get stuck in. How'd you feel about that, about changing systems?
You know, it wasn't. You had
really, to hop around a little bit.
It wasn't really a problem for me. It's like I always say, one of the great things about being educated on basketball, I had a great high school coach, great college coach. If you're taught the game, you can play the game. Like, okay, when I got to Houston, I could do whatever I want to do. When I got with Phil, Phil was like, we running a triangle, you going A, B, C, and D. And then when I got to Pop, it was really robotic. Yeah. And so you just have to be able to adjust mentally. A lot of guys can't change their mental when it comes to the game. They're like, well, this is who I am. This is what we got to play. And no, this is not. This is the system. This is how you have to play, and this is what you need to do. Like, I wasn't really a spot up shooter. When I was a slasher, dunker. Yeah. If you looked at me when I first got in the NBA, I was dunking on everybody.
Real talk.
And I was, pulling up for like mid range. And now, okay, you start one game where you hit a couple of big threes. Okay, you're gonna spot up now. But
straight up,
I was able to adjust because hell, I had Shaq and Kobe on my team. Let me just get out your way and just go over here and get an open pot shot,
Let me
man.
say this right now.
Think about that, man. Those are two of the most dynamic duos that will ever play this game. And the way I had to adjust my game, not just me, Rick, Derek, and all of us, we got out of their way, man. And it was the betterment for our team. Nowadays, guys don't know how to do that because they're so caught up on, oh, I got to get mine. Dude, we're winning. I can give a what I get. Right. I just want to win.
Yeah, my problem was never like getting mine, but I was like, don't ask me for a big bucket after I ain't touched this mother since the first quarter. Like, I haven't touched. I'm like, Bron, Kai, I love y'all. I haven't touched it. Y'all like, come on, Shump, I need. Like, bro, I don't even know if the ball got a lot of air in it right now. Like, I had it on the rebound, but I didn't take a dribble because your ass was 40 feet ahead of me, bro. You fast as fuck.
Hey, I'm glad you said that because I don't think people really understand when you have to wait in that corner and you ain't touched that all
That's
game.
What makes you so impressive.
And I'm like, okay, knock down the shot. And the weird part is we'll be in the huddle and you see the play drawn up. I'm like, this for me. Because nobody's going to let that first option happen. I'm like, oh, I'm the second. This is me. Now, y'all, I'm over here like, okay, let me be loose and be ready for the mentally. And for me, I was like, okay, just mentally be ready. Don't care what happens. You miss it. You should have gave me some shots earlier. Don't try to count on me down the stretch. But like I tell people all the time about that shot I made against Sacramento. I said we would have never been in that position if they would have ran some plays for me because I had just hit 3 threes before that. I'm like, yo, run some plays for me. Just don't run it for Shaq and Kobe. But that wasn't my mentality. Though. I'm like, these are the dudes who's carried us all year. Don't have to stop them. So let them do their thing. And so when the ball came out to me in that situation, I was already feeling good. And he was like, okay, so, but some situations.
Like the energy's new.
Yeah. And he sort of had it on his mind. Yeah. Like if you're thinking about it in the huddle, it's like, okay.
I love that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the theme of today's episode actually fits that. We're going to call it Living Life Without Fear.
Yes.
So when you hear that, what do you feel?
Like for me, if you think about my upbringing and what I had to go through with the loss of my daughter and just not, watching her go through life without fears and just having joy because she knew she didn't have long, but she took advantage of every moment she had. And when I have friends that come over and they'd be like, how's Ashley? Well, she's not feeling good. And but she hears certain people's voices, she would come out the room just to give them a hug and go back in their room. So like that, to me, I always draw on that. Because I think about, I'm not feeling good today. Here is your daughter who's not feeling good probably like 99% of the time. And you want to worry and have fear and talk about, oh man, this and that. And for me, I just had no fear after just, have to deal with her problems because I saw the way she handled it. and I'm gonna worry about, if I'm getting traded or if I'm not making any money or this and that. I'm like, man, my daughter has shown me the way. And that's why my mental throughout my career was just like, I don't fear anything. I don't fear you coaches. I don't fear none of you because, can't none of y'all put me through any of the damage that I haven't been through with, watching my daughter, beg for a breath, daughter go through going where the doctors come in the room and say, we got to put her in the hospice and all this kind of crap. And then she fights through it for one more year. She fights through it for another year. I said, y'all don't worry me. I know, because a lot of people say, well, how you deal with coaches? I said, that don't fucking bother me. I says, I don't care about my teammates as long as they treat me right and play hard. I said, man, life is golden, man. I saw that through the precious life that my daughter led. So, and there's a lot of times we didn't talk about that, my first wife, because we didn't want anybody in our business, because we wanted to handle that on our own. Nowadays with social media, the whole world would know. And for me, that's like, this is my inner pain. Even when we was playing the Knicks in the finals, and people don't know that I slept in the hospital after every game in Houston because we didn't know she was going to, be in this world. And I'm like, and how did you do it? I said, man, because I left that hospital knowing that she was going to live another day. And that gave me energy to go out on that court and deal with stuff, man. It's just amazing.
You damn near needed them games.
Yes. You use those games when you
play for.
When you mad and you want to come down, you see like Mason coming aside, like, do I want to elbow him? Nah, I'm gonna go over here to Bonner. I'm gonna elbow him and take my pain out on him. You gotta be smart about what you do, but man, it was just so weird because I remember one moment where I dunked on Oakley and I just let out so much emotion because I had so much pent up emotion. And then at the end of the game, I was like, I just yelled at Oakley. I must have been a fool.
Bro. I was out of my mind.
I must have been a fool.
I was on one today.
Yeah.
That's lovely though to play through stuff like I've had games where you carry emotional burden, and it's like if I ain't had this game to play this right now, I don't know what I would have did with that energy.
You need that outlet.
Real
man.
talk. It's like this would have been some bad. This probably would have ended bad if I'd have had to use this another way. And it's like it's cool to know. Some people take that energy and just feel inspired.
Yes, you have to find ways to channel that, and so many people don't know people's stories, and you can sit up here and that's what I
never knew. I never knew you went through that during.
Yeah, for my first from she passed away in 2007, and so it's like you have this throughout my whole career of not knowing if she's going to make it. And I remember one time in 2005, Pop, this is what I love about Pop. Pop was like, I got a call like, yo, she's not going to make it. You need to get home now. And I went to see her in the hospital, and Pop called me up and says, don't you come back until she's home. So she gets home, I come back. He was like, what the fuck you doing here? I'm like, she's home. She just got home. Go back and you come back in a week. Deal with your family. This is not important. And for me, that meant a lot that he wanted me to make, because you feel like this is my job. I got to get back to it.
Yeah, it's an
I got to make sure I do what I do to make sure I get paid. He's like, man, get out of here. Go home. And I just, and it meant so much to me that he sent me home till I knew that, my daughter was back to a position where she could, make it without, stressing out.
Damn, that's crazy.
And that's dope when a boss be like, man, when he tell you like that, like, just get
Pop stories. The stories that back Pop
best.
like get better and better, bro. Like the more players that like
I'm sold. He's a perfect human.
What the hell, bro? Like, the man just
That's
carry
amazing.
himself. I will always love a coach that the media do something and they just be like, so?
But he don't do it. Yeah, he don't do it the Captain America way. He just be like,
I don't have to answer that. Next
or I
question.
just did it. Yeah.
Y'all just watch what happened. This wasn't something brand new. Like this wasn't something they pulled out of a hat. They won. We lost. Go home. Like for real. I don't.
They
feel
played
like
better than us. We sucked.
Real talk. This one was on us tonight. You know what I'm saying? What's the key to having that fearless mindset? Like if you had to help shape a young person's mind to help them deal with it.
I think the biggest thing for me is to not stress out about it. It's not the most important thing in life. When everybody's just says basketball is life, this is like, life is life. Life, you live it to its fullest and just enjoy the moment. And don't try to stress out. I see kids, like if you can really sometimes know who's going to get the ball if you're watching people and you know body language, because they either like either trying to psych themselves out by dancing and talking to themselves, or they're like stressed out. I mean, I ain't gonna call some players out, but I know a couple of players that's supposed to be big time players, and the players call from you looking and they're like, what the, and they don't want it. It's a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of superstars in the league. They don't want it down in crunch time because they're like, okay, they're so caught up on my image, like, oh, I gotta be perfect. Like, dude, nobody's perfect.
It's people that don't even want to shoot it at the end of the quarter. They don't want to mess up their field goal percentage.
Exactly.
Me and JR used to be begging for that. Y'all don't want to up y'all shit, give it to me. I'm going to get us another attemp.
Fit up now because I'm going to be looking at everybody's face now when they every game
you
see
man. You can smell it on somebody, bro.
Yeah, you can see the body language is the most important thing in sports. You can tell someone's afraid, or they,
straight up.
Are they too cocky, or
are they tired?
Yeah, you can
something
tell.
Hurting? Are they grimacing? Yeah.
I'm all about taking advantage of that. So I just tell everybody, man, if you want to play this game or do anything in life, just go out and do it to your best ability. Don't worry about what the outcome is. Just do it as hard as possible and put as much knowledge and know-how into it. But more important, know what you're doing before you do it. Just don't go into something blindly. So
there we go.
There we
go.
There it is.
Yeah,
there
know what you're doing before you do it. Yeah. There it
gotta
goes.
know what you're doing. How did your upbringing shape you?
I had a great upbringing. When they say it takes a village, the village raised me. Yeah. And I don't know how a lot of these guys who grew up in large cities do it. I grew up in a small town. My graduating class was like 115. And I remember we would get in trouble as little kids. You might get 3 whippings before you get home to your parents and get that major whipping because everybody took care of you. Think about it, no cell phones, and by the time you get home, your parents already know what happened. Right. Like, how the hell you get this information that fast? And I look back at my elementary school coach. He would come to the playground like, you have to go left. I'm like, for what? I'm killing everybody going right. He says, well, you can't go right anymore. I said, well, nope, I'm not playing anymore. I'll go play like softball or football or something. And then when I got to middle school, coach was like, stop passing the ball to everybody. They suck. You shoot the ball. I'm like, what? I'm like, but that just, I was just out there, having fun, wanting to be with your friends. But my high school coach, Richard Robertson, he was the best, man. He put me on varsity my freshman year to play with my brother and them, and I didn't want to be there because I knew I wasn't getting no shots. I wanted to be on the ninth grade team to put up some numbers. But the maturation that I had to go through, getting beat up by my brothers, and they literally said, we're going to beat your ass up in practice. So
how many did you have?
Just one big brother. But, everybody was like brothers because it was all in the same community. We all hung out together. And next thing you know, by my sophomore year, I went from averaging 12 points to averaging 24 points. A big jump. It's my team as a sophomore, and each year, and it's just
easier and easier.
It got easier and easier, and it got to a point where I understood what my coach was trying to teach me. He was like, people look up to star athletes, and they say they follow you, and what you do is going to determine on what they do. And that's why I always try to tell kids, it's like, no, you don't know who's watching you. You might not be the best player, but you might be the best player in this guy's over his eyes. Mm-hmm. If he sees you going hard, that's going to make him go hard. And so my whole career, I try to just go hard and do it to the best of my ability. Even when I got to Bama, I'm looking around at this team, like I got Keith Askins, David Benoit, all these guys. I'm like, they ain't better than me. They ain't smarter than me. And this is my mindset. And I'm telling myself that. And by the time I was a sophomore, this is my team. Even though Keith and you got, Melvin Cheatham, all these guys is going to the pros. As a sophomore again, I'm taking over because I felt that what my high school coach had instilled in me was to go out, be a leader, regardless of what position you're in, age, religion, color, just go out there and lead the right way. Mm-hmm. And that's how it just worked out for me, man.
It's crazy. People don't get to hang their hat enough on the stuff that they learn from their high school coach. Like my high school coach did a lot of the same things, moved me up. They beat my all the time. Like it seemed like they made practice a zoo. They would play music. They would play music and be blowing the whistle for like stupid. It was 2 different whistles. It was the real whistle, and then they had like as if fans was in the crowd doing it. They were trying to like create like we finna play Proviso West, Proviso East, and his little freshman can't even remember the plays. So let's throw the book at him, like press him, do all this. So I felt like everybody was like this. And then it was like by the time junior year rolled around, I was the same, where it was just like, bro, y'all moving real slow. I don't know why they pressing me, but give it here.
Yeah.
Let me get by this press, hit the open man, give back. Let me get this dunk. Let's get back down here. I was sitting down half the time in like the second quarter. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You had
like,
that type of coach that says, "Oh, if we up by 20, I'm taking you out the game." We don't
like,
believe in blowing people out. Yeah.
He was one of the, but he was also very classy. But
yes,
he would teach me stuff. Like he would do stuff like once he knew I had a grip on everything, he'd be like, "Well, Iman's playing 5-man today," so I'd be in practice running 5. But he's doing it to say you got to know the whole playbook.
Yeah.
Like you the point guard, so you need to know 1 through 5, so you can coach him on how to do it. So it was like he was teaching me a different way, but it's those qualities that lead you. Yeah.
I don't think you have those coaches anymore because my coach would make me run point. I'm like, I want to run point. I said, let me get down here where I can catch it, 2-3 dribbles, pull up on somebody.
But he like, if you know how to.
Yeah, he said, this way you're going to know all the positions. You're going to know what's coming at you. And he says, I'm not preparing you for what's here. I'm preparing you for the next level. I'm preparing you for college. And then when I got to college, Wimp was like, I'm not preparing you for this level. I'm preparing you for the next level. And so that's what you want as a coach is they see something in you. Because, you got those guys on the team like, they're not going to go to the next level. But you got to prepare for this level.
They know
so they can help you out, so you can be successful.
Go to the next level, brother. It's not good for you, brother.
this ain't your path. Maybe you can coach.
Nah, it took you far as it could.
Yeah,
try it
Real talk. Now we all gonna graduate.
Yeah.
How does Big Shot Bob mindset? How does that carry you over the years? Like after basketball, how does that carry you? How does that make you feel?
It's weird because when you in the NBA and you get a nickname that you don't give yourself, you feel like you've made it. And for me to have the name, Big Shot Bob, and to be given that name, not just at the end of my career, like in the middle of my career, is like it's my Hall of Fame moment, so to say.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that everybody always wants to debate about the Hall of Fame. I tell people all the time, I give 2 about the Hall of Fame. I said because this was a team sport. Now this was tennis. It was an individual. I would care.
Real talk.
The championships I won were my Hall of Fame moments, and the players I played with, and the relationships that you develop through all these throughout your career. And I can say this and say it and believe it 100%. If you go through and ask all of my teammates, they probably gonna put me as one of their best teammates ever. Because I was there for them, not just on the court, but you can see when like I said, the body language. You pulling somebody to the side, man, you all right, man? You need to talk about something. You want to go to lunch? You want to do this? You want to do that? And guys appreciate that because, in this day and age, and guys are so caught up in themselves that they might not see what's going on next to them.
It's mentorship.
Yeah. And they don't care. I learned that from Tree Rollins. I learned that from Otis Thorpe. Those guys kind of, when you a rookie and you don't know what the hell's going on, you like, and then all of a sudden Tree's like, man, let's go to lunch.
Yeah, they cut you a break.
Yeah, what's going on? Talk to me. How do you feel? How do you feel about you? Are you happy? And you learn that, so you want to, pass it on. And so that's what I did.
Who were those guys for you?
Tree Rollins and Otis Thorpe.
Otis Thorpe.
Yeah,
I remember Otis.
And people know Tree Rollins from him and Danny Ainge. Like, we got that in common. We had something with Danny Ainge. But yeah, from him and Danny Ainge getting in trouble, and he biting Danny Ainge's finger off. But yeah, and the only thing I wish I would have did that Otis tried to get me to do was play golf. I don't play golf, and I still wish I did.
JR tried to get me to play.
I want to get out there. But
see, I had Melo with me under his wing, right? And then the following year, because Melo's very by example. He's by example on court, but
meaning he's not gonna pull you to the side.
Yeah, on the court, he's not pulling me to the side. He kind of because he likes to be left alone. He don't really want to get pulled.
Not his style.
So he don't do that to people. Like where unless he feel like he got it. Now he'll pull it out of you, but he's not going.
Right.
Hey man, you got to do this and you should. He gonna be like, man, just get it to me. Like he not gonna tell you how to do it and advise you. He gonna be like, you in the NBA, do it. You get what I'm saying? But off the court, he's a lot like how Rob was saying, where it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, what you thinking of? Like, and I'm just like, well, I think we should do this. Bro, I'm talking about in life though. Like,
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like you 21, it's a big city. We barely sleeping, bro. Like you sleeping. or you just up all night? Like, talk to me. Like, let me know. You need to pull off a little bit. You out a little too much. You look tired. You know what I'm saying? But he would really have real talks with me where it's like, nah, we going to lunch, so don't plan nothing. Like, you going with me, we on the road. You going with me, we going to lunch, and then you going to sleep. Like, that's it. But you need that. Then I had Rasheed Wallace come in the next year, and you got Kurt Thomas come in. I had Marcus Camby, and they was real big homies where they was looking at it like, no, like y'all fighting for a position, but this is what we got to do for the team. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, don't get caught up in that, because he right. With this new social media, you would be paying attention to that. Like, somebody write a comment and be like, you should have finished the game at point. Like, you be like, hell yeah, I should have finished. God damn, Tony. What you doing, Tony? Tony Douglas, that was my boy, TD. Oh, bro, that was my boy, TD, man. Like, hey, Tony, god damn, I should have finished the game at point. We Chicago guys. What would you say people who think the Rockets were lucky MJ retired? Like, what do you say to that?
You know, this is one of the biggest what ifs, the biggest debates we've ever seen. And I tell people, it's like, if you look at the history, and after playing for Phil, we win that series. And everybody's like, oh, it's MJ. MJ's the greatest. The greatest lose too. I'm like, and people don't understand that. I'm like, you don't understand how good Dream was. And unless you watch Dream play, this is why I says, me playing for Phil, we playing the San Antonio Spurs in 2004. Tim Duncan figured me out defensively. That mug started doing it. This is the first time in my life I went to a coach that, yo, man, I need a double team. He's like, what? I need a double team. This motherfucker killing me. Right. He's like, we don't double team. I'm like, well, I need one. And so, well, we put Shaq on. Shaq's too slow for him. And so Tim probably averaged 35 in that series, and he didn't want to double team. And like some of the greats, you have to double team and get the rock out their hand. Make someone else beat us. And I'm like saying, everybody gets mad at me when I say Dream is better than Tim. It's just my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. So Dream,
you gotta put that disclaimer out.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm gonna argue about it.
People get mad at me like, well, you can't say that about you cannot say anything about the greats. But you saying that Dream is a great too. So me saying that, who on that team could have guarded Dream?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Nobody. And they was like, who can guard MJ? Vernon. People forget Vernon was a freaking beast.
He did a great job.
And so I'm like,
but he was gonna get cooked up.
Yeah, but they didn't have
barbecue chicken.
That's
Vernon
all.
Maxwell.
Bobby Q.
Because I'm gonna tell you about this. When the first time I ever played in Chicago, I thought I was the best player ever. I had 6 dunks in that game because they tried to press us.
Couldn't deal with.
They couldn't handle us. Nobody could handle Dream, man. I'm saying every time I think the time I was there with the Rockets, I think the Bulls beat us twice. And the last time they beat us is when they had the whole crew, everybody. But that was in like 96 when we were wearing those ugly Rocket uniforms, the blue ones. So no.
Talking about the blue with the white pinstripe?
Yeah.
What?
No, did you see the Rocket?
I get it.
Did you see the Rocket look like when our kids drew the Rockets and the uniforms were scratchy? Man, they were scratchy.
We liked it.
I had a rash right here. Them uniforms were all
gave you a rash?
for real.
They gave you a rash?
Yes, it gave me a rash. I had to wear a tank top on it because the material
you
was
weren't
so
wearing no
messed
beater.
up.
Don't tell me you wore a white beater.
I had to.
He wore a white beater. He wore a white beater. Nah, he didn't get a team issue, Detroit. He wore a white beater.
No, you forget back then they didn't have that, dude.
Yeah, they didn't.
You forget. I came in. It was 95, 96.
Yeah.
I think you still in high school then, bro.
No, not even.
I was 6.
My bad.
I was playing with you on live, brother. Hey, I was getting a bucket with you too. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hey, NBA Live, that one, NBA Live 95.
Oh, yeah.
I was the best player in the game.
You was wicked.
You know why? Because I had met the creators of the game and I was talking to them. They was like, oh, we got you. We're going to make you the best player in the game.
You was nasty.
But no.
And your clutch factor was crazy.
It was NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
For you.
That's where he was. No, he was a problem.
No, but that's what I was telling you. NBA Live in specific.
Oh, no. I know Live.
I used to
the one with me on the cover with the Knicks.
I used to beat people in with this man, Joe. That's what I'm saying.
My friends would come over and like, you have to use a different team. You can't use a
only person you could use.
I mean, that's kind of conceited. I come over to your house and play your game, and I've been waiting to have fun with my friend. And it's him.
Raheem. That's the only way you could deal with him on the game.
No, you couldn't. Even with him.
And I used Joe Smith. I used to have to use Joe Smith.
Neither were quick enough.
They wasn't, but I'm saying on a video game, you could use the height and use their defensive prowess to bother him. Like otherwise, he was gonna torch you. So you got to grab one of the two.
I don't think anybody knew that. I held that close to my heart for long before I told people. I know.
The jig is up. The jig is up. Y'all better beat the creator now. Call Ronnie. Y'all better be his best friend, shorty.
Ronnie 2K.
Ronnie 2K. You ever talk to them about anything, doing stuff?
I talked to Ronnie one time and I was like, yo, man, why can't I get 2, 3, 4 checks, man? Because you got all the championship teams in here. I'm on all these teams. I need more money, man.
Straight up. And he can't license for her out.
No, he can't. They was like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, why?
Oh, it's like an NBA thing?
Yeah, because what they do is they have like the championship teams on, the special squad. And I was on the Lakers, I was on the Rockets. The classics. And I'm like, yo, you got my image in here a lot of times.
Oh, wait. So you look a lot of different versions of yourself.
I got Skinny Rob, I got Fat Rob,
so
I
that's
got
why,
Afro.
That's why it's only the first starting 5 with names. All the other ones just got numbers. I'm thinking like they just being lazy. And
they can't pay.
No, they don't want to pay everybody.
Yeah, they got to pay that. You got to pay that man.
But
you got to pay every version of that man too. Pay that young man. Pay that older man.
Pixelized.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. The thing about it is you have to have to go to the Retired Players Association and pay your dues, and then you pay your dues. You can put in there.
Dues? What's paying dues? What that mean?
You didn't pay your dues, man?
I don't know what that means.
So what happens is in order to get
the union dues, right?
Yeah, you pay your dues. In order to get the residual checks at the end of the year, you have to join the Retired Players Association.
Copy.
Yeah. So
I might need to holler at you about that.
Yeah. So
we could holler. Since we talking about all the teams you played for, yeah, we definitely go holler about that check.
That Christmas is coming.
That's probably why I wasn't. They sent the tweet out saying that I wasn't on some team. They was I wasn't on the Cavs team. They said, how you gonna have this Cavs team and you can't use Iman?
Yeah. Because they don't have the rights to use your likeness.
They was They was tweeting me saying, "Are you hurt right now?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is they talking about?" But they said, "Yeah, he not on that. We can't use him on the Cavs right now." It's bullshit. That's crazy.
There you go.
Retired Players
There you go.
Association.
Questions,
I don't think I'll ever deal with that word well. Retired. Yeah. What if they call me and like, "Hey, Shump, you in shape?" I'm probably gonna be like, "Yeah."
So that means you come out of retirement.
Moses never retired. He didn't Moses lived in Houston. He didn't retire forever because he was like, I'm waiting on them to call me. I'm like, Moses, it's been 10 years, dude. Nobody's gonna call you. Go retire and get that money, man.
I'm waiting on them to call you.
Hit me up. My number's still the same.
So you're just never gonna retire. You're never gonna.
I love basketball. It's a great game. This show is brought to you by Cash App. Get your paycheck up to 2 days early when you deposit it into your Cash App account.
You could do a lot in 2 days while other people are waiting on their money. You could be using the Cash App to do all types of exciting things. What are you going to do with your money since you don't have to wait 2 days to get it?
Well, I'm a generous guy, so I might buy my daughter some new outfits. Maybe some comic books for my nerdy older brother who loves to read them. Mm-hmm. So how about you, Ahrii? What you going to do now that you ain't got to wait for your money 2 days?
I don't know. I got a couple things I got to do. I got to get an oil change. Probably go out to a nice little dinner, candlelight dinner, alone for myself. It's like a reward.
A dinny.
When you set up direct deposit on Cash App and get paid up to 2 full days early, you can live in the future. Why wait until Friday when you can get paid on Wednesday?
That's money, and that's Cash App. So download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store and set up direct deposit today. Now, because you've been on so many great teams, we're going to play a little game called Big Shot Bob Teammate Awards.
Okay.
So of all your teammates, who's the most competitive teammate you had?
Dude, really? Kobe. Kobe by far, man. He is the most
All right, outside of him.
Oh, outside of him, Vernon.
Vernon.
Shaq. It's hard, man, because when you
played with a lot of
win in
big-
Yeah, he got
championships,
some names.
when you win in championships, you got guys who are competitive. Like Shaq's competitive, Vernon's super competitive.
But it just wasn't no touching Kobe's competitive.
Yeah, it wasn't like Kobe would get pissed because we'll win a game in practice, and he like, let's play again. Like, nah, we ain't playing, dude. Nah, we playing again because I gotta get my revenge. And like, it's like, no, I'm going home. I'm like, no, we're not practicing today.
Bro.
Yeah,
What is wrong with you?
yeah, that's just how he was, man. He wanted to win at everything.
Damn. He one of them ones that what's his name? They was telling me that they used to bet like who bag. Swish said they was betting who bag would come off of the plane first. Said they want to win like that. Like he was like, it's a lot
Wait,
of players.
who was doing that?
I don't want to quote it wrong. It was either AI or Baron Davis, but they was like betting, but they was like serious, like because he had lost in the game.
That sounds like an addiction.
Yeah, like they said they had lost the game. They had played, the team was doing that. Somebody lost. They got to talking. Then it became a 1-on-1. After the 1-on-1, they said they had to leave. So then they was betting on who bag was coming down. But it's like you running.
Damn, never settle.
You run
Never
into
settle.
people. I know people like that just won't let the go. It's like, bro,
Yeah,
they won't
it's
even
you.
give you your money because they be like, bro, we finna play again. I want to run that double or nothing type. Like they just
like, nah, dude, we playing one game and winner takes all.
and you
Call
want
it a
that
day.
money, man.
Yeah.
You want that, like, you gonna give me my money.
Yeah.
Most athletic teammate.
Clyde.
You was just saying that. You was just
See,
saying
and
no
the reason I
disrespect.
say that is because Clyde will literally come into practice. We have practice. He wouldn't even stretch.
Oh, he was one
He
of
was
them.
one of those.
Yeah, he one of them.
And now this is gonna sound old. Clyde would be able to reading the paper, going over his stocks and see what he did. You know. So next thing you know, all right, let's start. Put the paper down, full speed, finger rolling that, dunking. I'm like only 23 at the time. I got to stretch, warm. I'm like, man, this dude 33 years old. I hope I be like this when I get his age.
Straight up.
But and when you talk about Clyde, everybody kind of like disses Clyde because of MJ. Clyde was
They should not.
Yeah, Clyde was an amazing athlete. His finger roll was as nice as George Gervin's. If you go back and watch some of the tape and how he used to just fly through the air with the greatest of ease, Clyde was probably one of the most athletic and smart basketballs I've ever played.
He was smooth athletic.
He was smooth. Yeah.
It was smooth. That's what's crazy. He had some choppy stuff that he did on the floor, but it was like when that man got in the air, everything got really
Finesse.
smooth.
Yeah,
That was
it
crazy.
awesome. And he had a J.
King finesse.
Kick the legs up too.
Oh, bro.
Like you look at him like, don't copy his jump shot because the way he put those two legs up, I don't know how he does that, but yeah.
It's like a spring. It's almost like a little double jump. He jumps
it's
and then kick the legs.
Yeah, he
up,
got to
get a
do
couple
something
more
with the
inches.
legs because he wanted to jump higher on the
And
shot.
people forget he was on that dream team.
Oh, yeah. Busting ass, too.
Yeah.
Reading the paper, didn't have to do a damn thing. Didn't have to do a
Drinking
damn
coffee.
thing.
Hey, okay, teammate who you would want on your side in case of a fight. And that's in basketball or on the street.
Man, you think about it, you got big fella Shaq. Like, do you want him on his size as far as size and strength? You got him. But I tell you, it wouldn't be a Dream. People forget.
That's who you want with you.
You think about when Dream first got in the league. Dream, a punch was $25. And people forget, Dream used to fight almost every freaking game. Man. He would put his hands on people. And you go back and look at the tape.
He not just swinging. Like,
he put like,
da.
Yeah.
He giving you
bro,
three
he's like,
So,
I'm not from here.
Yeah, he from the Congo.
So-
He don't play that.
So we playing the Clippers one time, and is it Randy Wood? You remember Randy Wood?
Randy
Probably,
Wood.
yeah. Randy was on the Clippers, and he was talking trash to Dream, and Dream was like, "Calm down." And he was like, and then he touched Dream. Don't touch me. He touched Dream again. Dream hit him with a 2-piece so fast, and Randy fell on the ground, and he got up and he looked at him and ran to Norman. What was Norm's name? No, I can't remember. But Norman, that played for the Clippers, and Norm was like the enforcer for the Clippers. Like everybody was scared of Norm. He was like, "Who hit you? Dream? Never mind." It's like he know because they know Dream. You don't mess with Dream.
Bro, some of this too old, man. No.
So
none of it.
Yeah, and it's like you don't mess with Dream, and people don't know that about him. Before
Is he like just quick tempered or he just
A documentary on that?
He just got hands, man. He quick.
Okay.
Think about it. Quick feet, quick hands for playing soccer. You didn't mess with Dream.
Oh yeah,
He probably full UFC fight type style. Like,
No, I ain't seen him throw no kicks.
No, I'm saying if he fought somebody like he one of them, like all bets off, bro. Whatever you want to do, we're going to that level, man. I ain't fighting no. Hey, man. Which teammate would you select to be president of the United States? Who you gonna follow in?
It wouldn't be Tim because Tim don't talk enough. Oh my goodness. You know, I just for this I think I would have to go with B. Shaw because B. Shaw he was the type of person that could.
They say he on the practice, running practice as a coach.
Just get people together, and he wasn't afraid to say what's on his mind. And you get a lot of guys that are afraid to speak their piece because you got to worry about other people's feelings. And so many guys in this league, you talk about them, and all of a sudden they won't talk to you for like 3 or 4 months. And that's one of the things I loved about the Lakers. We could cuss each other out, call you all type of motherfuckers, right? And then we knew it was just a part of the family.
We're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, and then we were just, man, you remember that time you called me this? And we back out having friends, going to lunch, doing whatever. And I think B. Shaw would be that guy you run for president.
Word.
That's right. It wouldn't be Pretty Ricky, though.
Who was the funniest teammate?
Sam Cassell, by far.
Oh, man.
Sam
Cassell funny to
Hey, from playing on the court, man, Sam and I used to yell at and argue with each other so much, man. So you talking about last second shot?
Yeah.
Sam, like, that's my play. Man, I'd be wide open. Sam would dribble through 3-4 people, 8 seconds, and shoot the ball. I'm like, Sam, pass the ball. Oh, bro, this is my play right here. I can give me a shot off. I'm like, dude, pass the ball, man. So Sam's the funniest one.
He sounded like that in his mid-20s.
Oh, Sam had that grind,
that raspy
voice, yeah.
He funny as hell, though. He always pop out on the court like he do stupid. Like you may be doing your warm-up. Like I was doing my warm-up. He a full-blown coach, man. He see me with headphones on. I'm not paying nobody, man. I'm in my zone. Come over there and steal the ball, run off. Like, bro, what you on with me, man? He like, man, you got to take care of me. You just got here, baby. You just got here. Like, take care of that motherfucker. Bonus question. This one's about coaches. Out of all the coaches you played for, which coach would you want your son to play for the most?
And we know you're a tough critic. We heard about how you act at games. We heard about that. We actually seen the footage too.
He said that's what refs. He said that's what refs.
That was the ref. I was like, ref, you suck, man. Oh, you mad because I said you suck? Are you gonna toss me? But the thing about it, I never cursed them. I never cursed one about my son's
It's
name.
when you came down.
Yeah, it was funny when you started. He said, y'all talking about me, right?
I'm gonna come down here. Like, I'm gonna come down here.
But it's so hard to do that because I love Rudy T. Because Rudy T was my first coach, and he's the one that actually ran plays for me. But I like the way Phil kind of like structured everything, and I like the way Pop didn't give a shit about anybody, cussed everybody out. So it's just really hard. But since the ego comes into play, I had to go with Rudy T because he ran plays for me, and he's the one that think about this. This dude went out his way on his night at the Hall of Fame to put his 2 cents in for me, and so for me that means a lot. That even though I only played for him 4 years. But the way he valued my game, the way he valued my IQ, because he would literally come to me and says, "What do we need to do on the court?" I'm looking at like, "You got Kenny? Are you asking me?"
Ask them.
And he says, "You have a better vision than most of those guys." And I'm looking at him like, "Well, thank you." And I'm like, and he would just say, "Okay, what do you want to run? What do you want to do?" And I, give it the dream and get the hell out of the way. That's what we always did, but. I just think for me, Rudy T, I love coaches who believe in their players. And what I mean by that is believe like, hey, that you know the game. Because there's certain coaches I've been a part of that would like, you say, yo, I know this play, they're going to do this. They look at you like, I don't give a shit. Go sit down.
Right.
Like, but dude, then they come out and score. I'm like, yo, I just told you, you need to do this. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Then like 5 plays later, oh, we're going to do this. And it works like, hey, I'm the greatest coach of life. Like, no, I told you that 5 plays ago. And so it's just, that's one of the things I loved about Rudy T. He listens to his players and, he played the game at a high level and he understands that players do know the game. It ain't always about the coaching, it's about the players too.
Straight up. I always like player. They call them players coaches.
Yeah.
I always liked them. I think I got lucky having T. Lou. Like T. Lou was underestimated, and I think early on when he took on the job, he didn't have the coach stature.
Yeah.
Just because we all were fans of him as a player. You know what I'm saying? We followed his career. So you still kind of want to be jokey how you would be with Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you want to joke around and feel like, man, I just was watching
Keep that
you.
same relationship.
Yeah, like why you still got the braids.
Yeah.
Like you want to have that with him. And the cool thing was I felt like when we was at war, it was times that a normal coach would just blow a timeout and like have this whole script. And he would just blow a timeout and be like, I just know y'all just need to breathe, man. We getting our ass kicked. It is what it is.
Yeah.
What y'all need to do is chip away at this. If we could get it to 15, I ain't gonna take everybody out. If y'all can't get it to 15 by then, I'm finna sit y'all, let these young boys come in here and up the energy because they don't give a
Yeah.
But he like, we ain't got it today.
Yeah.
Like, I see that. Y'all ran down. Like, he had that understanding of, I know what it's like.
Yes.
Game 35 ain't on TV. We in Minnesota.
And he know what to say, in order to not.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but he
make it worse.
but he also giving them starters now some pressure and some inspiration, saying you better get that average before this game get away from 15 points. Because I'm gonna sit y'all whether you got your average or not. But now it raises it a little bit. It changes your focus. Like he had control and had ways to do that, and I feel like that's because he came from a playing background. You were just talking about that with women's basketball. He was saying a lot of the coaches now that you're seeing do women's basketball, they're women that played and played that at a high level, and they're taking that basketball knowledge and spreading it. And I think the more it's talked about and the more it's spread by people that have done it, you can listen to it as a player and say, all right, I'll go try that. Because, I also had Coach Al who he'll be like, you come, you go right here, go through your legs, and every once in a while I'll be slick and be like, all right, do it for me, I can't see. Motherfucker, I can't play. Like, or he'll take it and try and go through his legs and lose the ball. I'm like, man, y'all get on the line, run. Like, but it's cool to see people that have those basketball minds, because I'm one of those guys that I always felt like after ball, I'm like, I'm not finna talk ball with none of y'all, bro. I'll talk at the cookout. But you realize how addicting it is. Like,
It's very addictive.
Like I sit here and be like, bro, I'm not trying to watch the games, and then be sitting there like,
And it's always something. It's always something new to look for.
yeah. Then you be walking past at the airport, just walking past, and then you just stop and stop. I'm just staring at a screen.
As much as you try to get away from it, it's
bro,
in your DNA, man.
it's
in your
nothing you
system.
could do.
Yeah, it's a part of you, man. You think about it. You've been doing this for so long at a high level, it comes a part of you. And I remember when I first retired, I was like, F basketball. I don't want to be around.
Right.
And it's like, you forget, you got kids. They want to follow in your footsteps. Now you really got to be around it. And it was like a whole different line. Like, damn it, I was trying to walk away. I was trying to just fade into the sunset.
And now you got me right back addicted.
Yeah, so someone be like, whatever happened to that guy that used to hit the shots? I'm like, what? Like, no, but you right back in the system.
Real talk.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
How do you feel about your son?
The basketball, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm just saying this from a dad's point. Like, I'm hard on my son.
Yeah, that's what
and I think the way the college system now is messed up. And I'm not talking about NIL. I can give a shit about that. I'm talking about the portals thing.
Yeah.
The portal, and now you think about all the holdbacks, and like you think about now, I would just think about this. Their kids, there's a freshman that are 21 years old, true freshman. I was in the fucking league and spent 4 years of college. And so now it's hard for guys that how to do it the right way.
Tell them about your Georgia Tech experience.
Georgia Tech, I only went because.
Quick thing, I always wanted to go to Georgia Tech, right?
Word?
Yeah.
What?
When I was coming out of high school, it's two schools I wanted to go to. Georgia Tech, number 1, Alabama, number 2.
Why Georgia Tech?
Because I love Bobby Crimmins.
Yeah. A lot of people love Bobby Crimmins.
The rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. Who doesn't like saying that, man?
That's fire. I never understood that. Like, how you said it, that was cool. Like, once we all started saying it, we felt like it was cool. But when they first kicked it to us with that song, I was like, bro, that sounds like a horror movie. A rambling wreck from Georgia Tech, a hell of an engineer. Like, it's just like, if you put an old record player behind that crackly sound, and put somebody
give
in
you
a
those
rocking
depression
chair,
vibes.
give me that Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah,
I was like, bro. And then they had the old gold. I was like, don't say that no more. Like, he said it with some life and some feeling, some liquor in his cup. He said it. Cash out.
You're scared of your school's fight song.
They had the big three back then. They had with Dennis Scott, Kenny Anderson, and who was the other guy? I can't remember. But they had the big three though. I would have been on that team.
Yeah.
Damn,
Y'all been going crazy.
Tell them about
Bryant
the coach real quick.
So Georgia Tech came recruiting me. They had a assistant coach, Peter Zaharis. And Peter Zaharis came and he would visit and stuff, but I noticed after the visits, like he came, he kicked it, he was close with my family. Like he would argue with Ahrii about basketball, argue with my uncle, argue with my dad. But it was like he didn't come and kiss us and like he came in there and he had a bold basketball mind. And me and my dad kind of was trying to look at him side eye a little bit. And then we started being like, no, I like dude. Like, so then I'm like, all right, cool. Now Coach Hewitt could come. We meet Coach Hewitt. Coach Hewitt was cool. And Coach Hewitt was like, I ain't gonna do all the bullshitting with you. I want you to come play point guard. You're not gonna play two guard. You're not gonna play this. So I was like, okay, I got my promise from the coach. But I was cool with Coach Hewitt. But Coach Z would call me and we talk, or I start calling him sometimes because it'd be the Sixers on. And he'd just be like, you watching this? Yeah, I'm watching it. What do you see? Man, they need to run. All they gotta really do is pick up the tempo. I don't even know why they trying to play this slow game with them. It's not gonna work. Like, I don't know what they doing. Like, but I'll be like extra hype. But we'll be chopping damn near till I'm going to sleep. But cause he like this love basketball. So after a while, I'm talking to this man like he my coach already. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, like I'm telling him about this and during my season and I'm talking to him as if he's my coach. I didn't realize this, but people don't be realizing like it be taken, like you said, it ain't the school. Like you could have put Peter Zaharis anywhere and Peter Zaharis say, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket behind Coach Hewitt. Mm-hmm. And I'd have played, if they, like Coach Hewitt used to always wear these, Coach, I know you used to always wear them green Sienna shorts. He used to love talking about Sienna. If y'all was at Sienna, seriously, the way they recruited me it was professional. It was still like loose, like still chill. And it was very like, we finna pull that out of you. Like this ain't gonna be, we not coming here to say, oh, you about to shoot it 100 times. And, no, you come over here and I want you to win some shit. Like we need you to win some shit. We ain't got time for the whole like give you the system. Like, no, work your ass off and win some shit, but we think it's you. And I always champion that. So shout out to Peter Zaharis, Charleston Young, Willie Reese. Man, that's just crazy. Like, Johnny O. Yeah. Johnny O. Yeah.
Coaching's
my boy
important.
Johnny O. Mark Jake. Man, it's like, it's.
I think a lot of times you have to believe in the coaches. I remember when I went to Auburn for my visit and I'm sitting there with Sonny Smith and we're having a conversation. Sonny Smith, yeah, I think if you come here, we can be. And I'm like, did someone just mute him? I'm like, he literally just stopped talking. I was like, oh, is he having a stroke? And then he started back talking. I'm like, hell no, I ain't coming here. I'm like, this dude ain't gonna make it, man. I'm like, and it's like,
he did the Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he just stopped. I'm like,
glitched. He glitched.
And I'm like, and I'm looking at the guy. He says, he does it all the time.
What?
And I'm like,
yeah, I gotta go.
And then
go.
And then the other thing, he was like, he looks at the decision. Did you tell him? He's like, tell me what. He's like, oh, you can have anything you want if you come here. I'm like, I said, y'all just really bold with this, man. I'm gonna come here. We gonna be on probation. And I ain't gonna be on TV. No, I ain't coming here, man. That's why
blue chips.
Exactly.
I had two blue chips moments. They told me, I ain't gonna tell y'all who it was, but the team, the school was like, yeah, man, you and your dad we'll fly you and your dad down. You can drive back. And me and my dad was like,
Like, nope. Yeah,
Nope. Hang up. Like, what? My mama was looking like, huh? We was looking like they said that. Like, yeah, he said that.
It's
definitely
amazing.
just tried to get you.
Yeah, some schools offered my mom some stuff. My mom like, I don't want to feel like I have to owe you anything. I don't want from y'all.
Not that it's illegal. I just don't want to have to owe you.
I feel like I feel like I owe you. If you give me something, I feel like I can owe you something.
Bro,
I ain't finna be in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it's supposed to be. Mama know best. God damn it.
Anyway, Rob, we like to ask all our guests, what are you working on in your personal life right now?
It's so weird that I'm actually working with this company now called SureCo. And because all the problems I had with insurance with my daughter when I retired, because when you retire, that 100% is out the window. But now with the Retired Players Association, you get that. So but when I first retired, you had to do all, jump through hoops because my daughter had pre-existing problems. So the Cobra was like, $1,600 a month. It was expensive, right? And so of course with the Obamacare, it provided the way. But for me, SureCo is this company I'm working with. And the only reason I started working with them because he heard my story and he came to me. He was like, "Oh, we're in the insurance business, but we do it totally different. What we do is we deal with companies and we come in, we analyze, we go through HR first because we don't cut out anybody because HR is the one that controls everything. Right. And so we said we're gonna work with you, but we're gonna save the company money. And so we call into our call center and we talk to the individuals in your employment and we say, what do you want out of your insurance? And we design the insurance specifically for you. And now in that, it saves the company. Like we save one company maybe like $3 million. Damn. That's all I'm doing, man.
Shout out to SureCo.
Shout out to SureCo.
Yeah, it's all about saving money and making money. And then being a dad, man, trying to get this senior year of basketball in Harvard Westlake, man, I'm like, dang, I'm happy I'm working for SureCo because we got to pay for trips to Boston. We got to pay for trips to Portland. Hey, man, when you win like they do, they travel. Everybody wants them to come to tournaments. And it's so fun for me to watch them play on this big scale, man. But I be looking at my wife like, oh, we ain't flying first class this trip, babe. It's only an hour.
The calculator just be working. The kids winning, having fun, and just the calculator running. Bro, I'm like, damn, it's too much.
I'm trying. So
never go get a day off.
I ain't made the 62 yet to get that pension.
Man, never go get a day off at this rate. All right, last question. It's our Cash App Cash Out question. Who is your top 5 clutch shot makers in the NBA right now?
Right now, Steph. Dame, because Dame is the only one that's made a clutch shot versus every team. That's crazy. That's crazy. Who is on the low or is killing it, but they don't talk about him in the clutch moment. They just talk about him. Just is Shea. Shea is
without a doubt.
He to me is
efficient.
Yeah, he's efficient and he's clutch, and I got to throw a big in there. I got to throw the Joker in there. You think about it. Some of the shots he makes sometimes, that went in.
Very timely.
Yeah. This guy's it's Kevin Durant, man. He's
got a name.
Yeah, you got KD is just so smooth and he's even though I wanted to put PG in there. I love PG. Is just a smaller version of KD, but since he's a smaller version, I have to go with KD. Right, yeah. But yeah, those two guys, if you watched them play, man, and see now I'm sitting here thinking about since because he's out, I didn't even think about Devin Booker, but it's a lot of guys, man.
It is.
It's like
a lot of skilled players.
And then you ask me tomorrow, I got a whole different list, and it's just the way these guys can play now is when I said we used to eat and drink basketball, they eat, drink, and regurgitate and eat it again. That's how much they love the game now, man. They in the gym 24/7. I remember when Kurt Rambis called me up. He wanted me to come coach with him in Minnesota. He said, yeah, I want you to do this. Some of the guys might call you at 1 a.m. to go, yo, that 1 a.m, I'm sleeping. I ain't doing that shit. Now guys, when they have a bad game, I would just forget about it. The guys know I got to go to the gym.
They lift after and then go shoot.
They go shoot, but yeah, they on a whole
nother
level,
that
man.
Same thing.
Yeah.
After we saw, I forgot who we saw do it. Cole did it. Cole did that, and Mars was like, "Damn, dog! Like, He got a full workout in though, but they was saying like it was good for him. The assistant coach, I think, answered and said it was just good. He just wanted to make sure he felt like he didn't get enough out of himself tonight. So he wanted to make sure he didn't cheat himself for the night type of thing. And it was a cool mindset thing that I thought I could inherit. But they ended up telling us lifting afterwards was something that Jordan them did. Lifting after the game, before the game, but activating yourself, but also strengthening yourself for what you got to do.
Yeah.
And then what you have to start recovering from. Like weightlifting and recovery is like huge.
Yeah.
It's just
Bulls was one of the first teams to do it because you think about it, they had a facility to do it in. When I was with the Houston Rockets, we might practice at the Texas Southern. We might practice at our facility. We might practice at HBCU. We didn't have it. We literally had to sit at home and wait for a phone call. And this was before cell phones. We had to wait and like, yo, we practicing here. All right, see you. They call you at 9 o'clock in the morning, practice at 11, and you get in your car and you go to practice.
get the fuck out of here.
That's wild.
You forget, NBA wasn't always this glory train that it is.
You know what though? That gives me new perspective on players who used to always be late, who never showed up. It's like if I was living under that regime, I might not have either.
You might not even show. Think about it. You hey coach, phone wasn't working, man. We had power outage.
There you go.
Yeah. So we used to just sit down. We never knew we was practicing.
Wild.
Yeah. Well, even my first year with the Lakers, we would practice. We didn't have a practice facility here, so we would venture around different places and practice. So funny story. You know, we had Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman always late to practice, always late. And this is when Kurt Rambis took over. So we used to practice at this little junior college, and someone stole Rodman's shoes. This is the first time Rodman ever made the practice on time, but he had no shoes because someone stole them, and he walked in there. Like we talk about having a bad day. Kurt Rambis had a bad day. He says, "I'm sick of your get the fuck out." And Rodman like looking around, who's he talking to? You always late. Rodman like, I've been here. Get the fuck out. And so he threw Rodman off the team, and that's when Rodman kind of started spiraling. Couldn't make another team after that. So he
drove the man crazy because he showed up to practice on time, and they didn't even think he was at practice.
Yeah. So
and somebody stole the shoes out of where?
Yeah, even my rookie year.
Where'd the shoes get stole from?
From the junior college that we was practicing at. You know, you have the locker room, you come in, you put the stuff.
Y'all left y'all stuff there and it wasn't yours?
Well, no, it was like, you know how to train. We didn't have like 14 people now. You know, it just had one guy, Rudy. Rudy would come in, he'd bring a bag in, he'd sit it, go out his truck, bring another bag in.
All right, equipment guy still had y'all stuff.
Yeah. So someone just came in while he was, going back to the truck to get some more gear.
And they
got him. Yeah. So,
bunch of kids there, man.
Yeah.
God damn, you gotta do my boy Denny like that, dog.
And I flew commercial my first year. Can you believe that? My first year in the league, I flew commercial. Am I dating myself when I said that?
Wait a minute, dog.
In 92, we flew commercial, man.
You sat next to regular people.
I did because I was a rookie. I sat in the back. Everybody, they only had 12 seats in the front, so all the vets sat in the front.
But y'all flew with the rest of the people.
Yeah. And so we used to wait. We landed.
That's probably raw for people though. That probably was cool as hell. Like picture being a fan and being like, "Are they right here?"
Think about that
on your walkie-talkie. What do you call it with?
All right.
It's Nextel. You went way back with the Nextel.
You would have to pull out a big briefcase, set it up there, pull it.
I forgot y'all was writing notes to each other back then. It was sending seagulls with messages.
Yes or no? Yes or no? You got a pen?
Oh, bro.
All right, Rob, before we let you out of here, let the people know where they can follow you at and, shout out whatever you want to shout out.
I'm not a big social media guy, but if you do look at me on Instagram, it's at Robert Horry 7 times. No, everybody always wonder, why didn't you do Big Shot? I'm like, I want my name. My name is Robert Horry, and I'm a 7-time champion. So I want you to know who I really am. So,
right.
Cash out.
Big Shot is just the what is that? The LLC version.
Yeah,
that's the LLC version.
Put some respect on it.
The Big Shot is what gets me in front of the corporate America. You know what I mean?
Separate entity.
Mm-hmm. But everybody gets mad at me because it's like I've had so many people. Man, you need to do the Bill Russell photo. You need to do the Michael Jordan photo where you hold your rings up and do that. I'm like, I want to do it, but it's just not me. You know, that's what they did. I had to come up with something different, but I haven't thought of it yet.
If you ever need an idea, hit me up.
All right.
I got a million of them, bro. I ain't got 7 rings, but I got a million ideas for them motherfuckers, though. I'll tell you that shit. As always, thank you for rocking with us on Iman Amongst Men. I am Iman Shumpert.
And I'm Ahrii Shumpert.
Thanks to our guests, Big Shot Bob, Robert Horry. Everybody applause.
Blessings. Thank you.
Make sure you go to rate 5 stars, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast.
And to watch the full video episodes, you're going to head over to Uninterrupted YouTube channel and click subscribe.
And until next time, y'all, we are gone. This show is brought to you by Cash App. Get your paycheck up to 2 days early when you deposit it into your Cash App account.
You could do a lot in 2 days while other people are waiting on their money. You could be using the Cash App to do all types of exciting things. What are you going to do with your money since you don't have to wait 2 days to get it?
Well, I'm a generous guy, so I might buy my daughter some new outfits. Maybe some comic books for my nerdy older brother who loves to read them. Mm-hmm. So how about you, Ahrii? What you gonna do now that you ain't gotta wait for your money 2 days?
I don't know. I got a couple things I gotta do. I gotta get an oil change. Probably go out to a nice little dinner, candlelight dinner, alone for myself. It's like a reward.
A dinny.
When you set up direct deposit on Cash App and get paid up to 2 full days early, you can live in the future. Why wait until Friday when you can get paid on Wednesday?
That's money, and that's Cash App. So download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store and set up direct deposit today.